there was the teacher in him that had a hard time with delays and blocks. All right, Queen of Swords. So, yep, there it is. Truth and compassion. Truth and compassion is purpose. Yep. They go together. They can go together. All right. This battle-weary Two of Pentacles. And I feel like this battle-weary doesn't even have to do with himself. It really has to do with humanity. He worries, this is hopes and fears section, so he's concerned that humanity's woundedness and their battle-weary outlook from what harms they've suffered in their lifetimes, all of us human beings, is a real block, is a real problem for them reaching to the higher love and truth. Two of Pentacles, balancing, and the fact that, and he's saying this is very similar to these two cards. He's saying the same things that constrained him in his lifetime, which were this, practical matters, money, and maybe humanity being too obsessed with that kind of thing. And he bought into how important that was too much because he was surrounded by it all the time. And the hurts that we do to each other. So yeah, I see these two cards similar to those two cards. He's saying, yes, those are the same limits that every human being faces when trying to grow spiritually. Need to balance the money and the battle-weary stuff, the woundedness. Okay. The Four of Pentacles, Seven of Swords. Oh, there was some sneakiness. And I felt like that. Some of the betrayal that happened in recent years that really was hard for him to get past. He was having an extra hard time digesting and moving it through the creative channel. Had to do with somebody being hurtful about money, stealing, or trying to get away with something. And it wasn't only money. Again, with Prince, every card has several meanings, and I'm talking forever because he has a lot to say about that. So he's saying, yes, there was some financial betrayal, but that had happened before, and he was kind of used to that. Okay, that's what he's saying. That has happened before. But the emotional aspects of this, this card represents not even a specific betrayal or somebody stealing or trying to use him for money or get away with something, but a lifetime of it. That's what I'm getting here. He had to focus more on his money than he ever wanted to, just because everybody else was so darn focused on his money. And he'd been stolen from, and he'd been betrayed financially, and he'd been lied to, and okay, yeah, there had been a little more of that before he died too. But it was just, he says, another example of the same thing. And that's what made him feel like he had to pay more attention to his money and legal matters and contracts and attorneys and all that stuff than he ever would have liked to, because it did not fit with who he was. But yeah, so this was, in some ways, he's telling me his money was a source of pain and a larger target. He made a larger target for betrayal, and it ended up taking up a bigger mental and emotional space within him than he wanted it to take. And he also understands that other human beings deal with the same thing. Even if they don't have a lot of money, they deal with their practical needs. It takes up a bigger chunk of who we are than we would like. Wow. And the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, he was a worker too. Okay. So the limitations of being human were tough for him. They were. He didn't and he was always a good worker. He's telling me, yes, he did. He was always a good worker. He worked. Steady, reliable, dependable. Yes, he was. He had discipline. But in a lot of ways, I think he's telling me that this Knight of Pentacles that he chose to be because he had respect for the rules, and he had respect for other people and wanted to be dependable. And he did believe, he was raised to believe that, yes, you work hard. And, it's just an American value he's telling me to. But that just really wasn't him. He made himself do those things because he didn't consider himself any better than any other human being. But that was confining. Yeah. It feels like he's telling me the money was confining to him. If he hadn't had the money, he probably wouldn't have had the overdose, is what he's telling me. That brought a lot of extra stuff into his life that he didn't want, and it just stood in the way of him being able to do his thing. Okay. All right. Page of Swords. Now isn't that interesting? What is that? Is he telling me that he was the Queen of Wands, but very occasionally he could say something impulsive that he regretted later? I kind of think he is. I kind of think he's telling me, now don't give the impression I'm perfect or saintly or anything like that, because once in a while I could say something that I regretted. Yeah, I really think he's telling me that. That's a little caution to us, don't put him on any kind of pedestal, because, the people that really know him know that he could once in a while say something, this sort of truth could once in a while come out in a more immature way. And, he wouldn't feel good about that. Some of the things he had said. Okay. But it's not like he beat himself up about it. It's just like, I feel like, he was really at peace with who he was. And he was just like, yep, there that is, He knew he had weaknesses, and he was really at peace with that. He was okay with that. He didn't like it for most of his lifetime, but eventually he learned to accept him. Okay. So, Prince, is there anything else you would love us to know? And thank you for talking to us. Oh, gosh. The Page of Pentacles. I feel like he's saying, the Page of Pentacles. Isn't it interesting, after he says all this about money, he gives us a financial opportunity card, or the beginning of either money coming in or the beginning of making money he gives us. I feel like this is hard. Okay, he's trying to communicate something to me my brain is having trouble grasping, all right? So I'm just going to kind of give it's a higher concept, a complex one. And I'm going to ask him for some help. Chariot. I feel like he's also saying there is huge universal push. Don't worry about money. The Chariot is about push and energy and force that is spiritual, that is a gift from the universe. And in the Chariot, I see what it is. Okay. In the Chariot, you are a passenger. You're not out there speeding through the clouds and the stars and the ether on your own force. This is the force of the universe, these sphinxes. I think that what he's saying is trust it. You don't have to involve so much of yourself in finding those financial opportunities, getting money, as you think you do. Don't limit your development and growth by too much focus on practical matters and, yes, providing for yourself. He had lots of money that he felt like he had to watch because people were always taking it. But a lot of us, we don't, what I mean? We're worrying about, the basics. Let's make enough money to have the basics, or a little more maybe. I think what he is saying is, trust the power and the force of the universe, because it is greater than you could ever imagine. He sees it better where he is now. On the other side, he can appreciate that so much more, how powerful it is. And I feel like he's saying, we don't tap it enough. We don't rely on it enough. We don't trust it enough. And we can. We can trust it to provide for us. We can trust it. We can seek help and make requests and make appeals and not even that. Yes, that, but spend time being one with this power and force and understand that our needs will be met. I feel like that's what he's saying, guys. Spend time being one with this power and this force, because if the more we're one with it, this is just not anything we have to worry about. That's what I'm hearing. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. Thank you, Prince. Blessings to everyone. Bye-bye.